The fact that San Diego State is sitting at 7-1 on the season and is not even ranked right now is absolutely crazy to me. There were not high expectations for this team after going 3-9 last year. They had to replace their starting quarterback, rebuild their offensive line, and played a schedule with only one guaranteed win on it. They instead have quietly shocked the college football world this season as they have dismantled Cal 34-0 and have been on a tear since their road loss to Washington State in Week 2 of the season, as their defense is ranked number 2 in the nation. It's time to get loud about San Diego State to make sure they get the respect they deserve. This is a story of how Sean Lewis turned San Diego State around in year 2 with the Aztecs. But before we get into this, if you enjoy college football content like this, make sure to leave a like and subscribe. Also, let me know which Group of 5 team is not being talked about enough in the comment section below. San Diego State has always been historically good and one of the better Group of 5 and 6 programs dating back to the days where Marshall Faulk ran wild back in the day. They dominated the Mountain West through a tough run game from 2010 to 2021 under head coaches Brady Hoke and Rocky Long. Hoke was known for giving San Diego State swagger, as he would go 13-12 before being named the head coach of Michigan, while Long, Hoke's defensive coordinator, would take over and win 81-38 as head coach. Hoke returned in 2020, and although they would go 12-2 in 2021 and won the Frisco Bowl, the team began to regress, and following the 2023 season, Hoke would decide to retire. 2023 was the fewest points, not counting 2020, in a season, and their first losing season since 2008 after 12 winning seasons during that period. Hoke would finish with a 40-32 overall record and a 27-20 record during a second stint. The man chosen to replace Brady Hoke would be former Kent State head coach and Colorado offense coordinator Sean Lewis. Sean Lewis is originally from Oak Lawn, Illinois, and played college football at the University of Wisconsin. Lewis was a grinder selling office supplies after college. He had started his coaching career at his former high school, Harold L. Richards High School, serving as their offense coordinator before being named the tight end coach at Nebraska Omaha. He then became a grad assistant at Akron before serving as an assistant at Eastern Illinois and Bowling Green, and was named co-offensive coordinator and quarterback coach for the Falcons in 2015. His 2015 offense ranked 4th in the nation at 546.8 yards per game and 6th in scoring at 42.2 points per game. In 2016, he took the same role at Syracuse before being named head coach at Kent State. Syracuse averaged 456.3 yards per game and 24.4 first downs per game and defeated defending national champions Clemson 27-24 in 2017. In 2016, his offense broke or tied 40 school records. He was known as an offensive genius, and it would lead to him being named the head coach at Kent State. Lewis, who was only 31 at the time, became the youngest coach in the FBS. While Lewis would go 24-31 at Kent State, he turned a disaster of a program into a consistent team. He went 19-17 in MAC play, led them to their first bowl win in school history, and led them to the MAC title game in 2021. To see how successful Lewis was at Kent State, go look at how they have been since Lewis left the Golden Flashes. Since Lewis left Kent State, the Golden Flashes are 4-28 under Kenny Burns and Mark Carney. Lewis would leave Kent State to become Deion Sanders' offense coordinator at Colorado. When Colorado took over the college football world during the first month of the 2023 season, it was Lewis's offense that was helped carrying the team. As Dennis Dodd wrote in March of 2024, the unit averaged more than 32 points per game across that month. It was Lewis who initially made Shedeur Sanders a star at the highest level. It was Lewis who was behind the school record 510 passing yards in the opener against TCU. It was Lewis who helped cash the checks that Coach Prime could only write with his boasts. Lewis never took credit and said it was everyone else who helped that offense do so well. But then when the team began to struggle, Lewis became the scapegoat by Deion. He took away Lewis's play calling duty in early November and gave said duties to offense quality control coach Pat Shurmur. Lewis's demotion made headlines because it was at Colorado and it pissed off a lot of coaches in the field who held a lot of respect for Lewis. Former Syracuse co-offense coordinator Dino Babers spoke on Lewis saying, "I think he knew he was taking a chance. He took the chance, it didn't pay off. I also think that people could look and see those first months and the first couple of games in September and say, wow, this guy knows what he's doing." Lewis took it as a learning experience. He spoke on it saying, "I think the importance of being a young, dumb head coach and being able to make some mistakes at the beginning. If you asked me, I probably would have prioritized the ball and thought you could probably scheme everyone to death. Obviously that's important, but learning the CEO leadership approach, how important it is, that is important too. Everyone from the outside could see how Lewis ended up being the scapegoat, so when Hoke decided to retire, the Aztecs did not hesitate calling him. When Lewis took over as head coach, there were only 5 returning starters on the offense, including running back Keenan Christian. Lewis would be reunited with former Kent State wide receiver Deshaun Polk, and the offensive line returned 3 starters. The question was going to be, who was going to be the starting quarterback in Lewis's fast-paced offense? True freshman Danny O'Neal would win the job, beating out Florida State transfer A.J. Duffy. There were a lot of question marks around the defense as they switched from a 3-3-5 to a 4-2-5 alignment. The defense was bolstered with transfers. When he expected there to be a lot of growing pains in year 1, and for the Aztecs to struggle with their over-under win total at 4.5. They would hit the under on that total, going 3-9, as the offense struggled, averaging 21.3 points per game, which was 116th in the country. The defense struggled, finishing 97th with 29.6 points allowed per game. Danny O'Neal would miss time after getting hurt, finishing with 2,181 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 6 interceptions, while the offensive line was horrendous. The backup quarterbacks weren't much better either, and the run game never got going, averaging 128.9 yards per game. They are also the most penalized team in the nation, averaging 9 penalties for 82 yards per game. It was a disaster, but it was also year 1 under Lewis. Lewis's first season at Kent State also wasn't great. The strides for improvement always began in year 2. Lewis would need to be making those strides with a new quarterback as Danny O'Neal transferred to Wisconsin in the offseason. They entered the season with a record of 14-23 since Snapdragon Stadium opened. They brought in quarterback Jaden Denegel from Michigan and Burt Emanuel Jr. from Central Michigan. They also beefed up the offensive line with Dallas Fincher from Michigan State and Bayo Kanike from Utah Tech. They also looked to rely on Jordan Napier in the passing game. Running back Marquez Cooper rushed for 1,274 yards and 12 of the team's 13 rushing touchdowns in 2024, but was now gone, and instead they looked to rely on Lucky Sutton. The team looked to improve on the defensive side of the ball after collapsing in the back half of the 2024 season and returned a lot of talent. All-American candidate Trey White returned after recording 12.5 sacks and 18.5 tackles for loss. They had a tough defensive tackle room. They also looked to have a strong linebacking room. That being said, there was still not a lot of hope around them making a bowl game, their over-under win total being set at 4.5, their only likely wins coming against Stony Brook, and likely losses coming to Boise State, Cal, Fresno State, and Washington State. Bill Steele projected them to finish tied for 6th in the conference and felt they had a shot at a bowl game. Fans' expectations were them to have a win-now mentality, which Lewis agreed, saying at the Mountain West Media Days, "They want it right now. Good, so do I." San Diego State opened up the season with a 42-0 win over Stony Brook, before falling to Washington State on the road in Week 2, 36-13. The Aztecs allowed 29 unanswered points to the Cougars, were outgained 396-215 in yards. Heading into their early bye week, Lewis said, "We need to coach better. We need to play better. We need to work our process better as we go. The tape doesn't lie. We need to be more focused. We need to take ownership of what we put down on the tape. We need to be smarter situationally, and we need to be physically, mentally, and emotionally tougher. I believe in my guys. It'll be default aggressive, not reckless, but default aggressive so that we could go down, get points. I don't feel any pressure. Pressure is something you feel when you're not prepared. Success is sloppy at times, and success is always a lagging indicator after mistakes are made. This is a good team that had a bad night. Absolutely." San Diego State entered their game against 3-0 Cal as 14-point underdogs, and many expected the Bears to win in a blowout fashion, as Fox Sports predicted the score to be 34-13 going to Cal. Instead, the Aztecs would shock the Golden Bears, bludgeoning them 34-0. The next week, they survived a 6-3 game against Northern Illinois before opening up Mountain West play. They have dominated so far, beating Colorado State 45-24, Nevada 44-10, Fresno State 23-0, and Wyoming 24-7. They are sitting at 7-1 and are on a 6-game win streak. Their offense has improved, averaging 28.9 points per game, which is 66th in the nation, and their rushing offense has improved, going for 185.6 yards per game, as Senegal has thrown for 1,415 yards, 8 touchdowns, and 5 interceptions, while Sutton has rushed for 820 yards and 8 touchdowns on the ground. Napier is playing well also with 610 receiving yards and 2 touchdowns, but it's been the defense the team can tip their cap on, who's holding opponents to 10 points per game, which ranks 2nd in the nation. Trey White has 6 sacks, while the team as a whole has 19, and they have 40 tackles for loss, 10 interceptions, and 4 defensive touchdowns. Yet they are not ranked, which is wild to me, as they are only receiving votes. SDSU appeared on just 13 of the 66 ballots in the AP poll, with their highest being number 15 by Stephen Means of the Cleveland.com. The Aztecs were last ranked in the AP Top 25 in 2021, and they were in the AP Top 25 for 7 weeks. Their highest ranking was number 19, and they were number 25 in the final poll. They finished that season with the school best 12-2 record. For 2021, the Aztecs were ranked for a stretch during the 2016, 2017, and 2019 seasons. Lewis spoke on the disrespect, saying, "How many 7-1 teams are there in the country? At this point in the season, we're not talking about preseason polls and what people think they are. There are only 4 weeks left in the regular season before hitting championship weekend. We're focused on the present. The resume speaks for itself. I think we're one of the best teams in the country. They are the only Mountain West team undefeated in conference play as they enter a critical stretch, playing at Hawaii this weekend on the road, then hosting Boise State and San Jose State, finishing the season on the road against New Mexico. Win out, and they deserve the spot in the college football playoff, in my opinion. Sean Lewis has truly turned things around at San Diego State, will be a name to watch in the coaching carousel this year, and if the Wisconsin job opens up next year, keep an eye out for his name as well. What do you think? Who will make the college football playoff as the 5th conference champion? Let me know in the comments section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to check out one of my other videos YouTube thinks you will love right here. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, remember to embrace the grind.